Welcome. In this presentation, I will discuss who the Holy Spirit is, some of the names and symbols by which the Holy Spirit is known, the role of the Holy Spirit in our life and the life of others, and some of the gifts of the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is the third member of the Triad or the Trinity of God. The Holy Spirit is mentioned in every book of the New Testament except 2nd and 3rd John. The Spirit is the executive of the Godhead, working in every sphere, both physical and moral. Through the Spirit, God created and preserves the universe. In Luke 11:20, God works in the spiritual sphere, converting sinners and sanctifying and sustaining believers. Therefore, the Holy Spirit is eternal, omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. Some of his divine works include creation, regeneration, and resurrection. The Spirit of God is real. The Spirit is no impersonal it. To call the Holy Spirit a ghost is a misnomer. The Holy Spirit is a person and therefore personal. The Holy Spirit has feelings and also has a will. The Holy Spirit can be insulted, and in Matthew 12:31, Jesus said, "Any sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven men, but the blasphemy against the Holy Spirit shall not be forgiven. If you curse or blaspheme the Holy Spirit, there is no forgiveness." He gives spiritual gifts to each as he wills or as he determines. Some have denied personality to the Spirit because he is not described as having a body or shape. Personality is defined as that which possesses intelligence, feeling, and will. It does not necessarily require a body. The lack of a definite form is no argument against reality. John 3:8 states, "The wind is real, though without form." The Holy Spirit is known in the Bible by many names, one of which is the Spirit of God. The Bible refers to the Holy Spirit by other names, such as the Spirit of Christ, the Comforter, the Holy Spirit of promise, the Spirit of truth, the Spirit of grace, the Spirit of life, and the Spirit of adoption. Some of the symbols associated with the Holy Spirit are fire, wind, water, a seal, oil, and a dove. The Holy Spirit is often described in an impersonal way as the breath that fills, the unction that anoints, the fire that lights and heats the water that is poured out, and the gift of which all partake. However, these are merely descriptions of his operations. Other activities that are ascribed to him include he reveals, teaches, witnesses, intercedes, speaks, commands, and testifies. From the beginning of Genesis, the role of the Holy Spirit shows that the Spirit is moving. The Spirit's activity is inseparable from the work of God. It is an extension of God himself. The Spirit is involved in creation and bringing order and preventing chaos. The Spirit gives life to humanity, and the Spirit communicates God's will and the word through the prophets. In the prophets, the activity of the Spirit turns from the outward sign and witness to the real content of God's message, the redemption of his people. The work of the Spirit is especially seen in connection with the prophecy of the Messiah. In Isaiah, the Spirit anoints the servant of God. The anointment leads to the fulfillment of the renewed covenant, the restoration of God's people, and the judgment on the unbeliever. The Spirit brings wisdom for leadership, equips for service, and brings good insight. The Spirit is sovereign, yet is mysterious and comes in strange ways like dreams and visions. He gives power for service and wisdom for leadership. Every gospel begins with a promise of his outpouring, yet in many ways it is a neglected doctrine. In the New Testament, God becomes incarnate, and in the fullness of time, God sent forth his Son, born of a virgin. And the Spirit-filled prophets are there waiting for consolation of Israel, the comforting of God's people, and the restoration of the Messianic age, and the salvation through the Messiah, the Anointed One. John the Baptist, the prophet who links the old and the new, declares, "He will baptize you with the Holy Spirit and with fire. The Spirit as a dove descends. The sacrifice for the poor is now paid. What is predicted in the old is now fulfilled in the new." According to the article entitled "The Holy Spirit, Formalism and Fear of Fanaticism have produced a reaction against emphasis on the Spirit's work in personal experience. Naturally, this has resulted in a spiritual deadness, for there can be no vital Christianity apart from the Spirit. Only he can make actual what Christ's work has made possible. 1 Corinthians 12:7-11 lists the gifts of the Holy Spirit as wisdom, knowledge, faith, healing, miracles, prophecy, discernment, tongues, and interpretation. All of these are the work of one and the same Spirit, and he distributes them to each one, just as he determines. In Acts 1:5-8, an unprecedented coming of the Spirit is witnessed as the promise of Jesus and the predictions of the prophets are fulfilled. The followers of Christ receive the Spirit, are filled with the Spirit, and are baptized in the Spirit. They prophesy, they speak in tongues, bear fruit, and are given gifts to share with the church. At Pentecost, the age of the Messianic Spirit dawns. The prophetic proclamation now becomes the power for witness and service. In summary, the Holy Spirit is the third person of the triad or Trinity. He has many roles and is known by many names in both the Old and the New Testament. He is the Spirit of Christ and was instrumental in the creation of the world and the ministry of Jesus Christ. The Holy Spirit was sent by Jesus at Pentecost to bestow his gifts on the apostles to prepare them for the ministry of spreading the word of Jesus. The Spirit of God is real and an indispensable part of God's plan for humanity. And through his gifts, we can draw closer to God and his plan for everlasting life with him in heaven.